Getting it for 50% is already a huge win. You're going to have free training from Anthropic. I hope they really take this opportunity and grasp it and show efficiencies and show better things. I just really hope all of this stuff compounds, but I also hope that they use it.
This has been like a really exciting week. I mean, we have so much stuff to talk about, but I don't think we can cover all of this.
I mean, so
Yeah,
much changed in just the last 24 hours, but I think you
yeah,
had a really interesting article out of California that I was suggesting that we give a lot of energy to. So do you want to dig us into
yeah,
that one?
yeah. So the Californian government actually did a deal with Anthropic through which all the state agencies and the employees are going to get Claude at 50% discount. Yeah, that is just one part. Okay. But then if you go through the statement, the agreement statement, it's like completely different aspects coming out. And I'll just read one of these for you. So it says, through the agreement, state agencies may access Anthropic's AI productivity assistant, Claude, at 50% discount, right, discounted price, coupled with free workforce training, as well as expert Gen AI technical assistance and workflow input from Anthropic developers. The agreement also provides the same discounted offer for California's local governments, including cities and towns.
Yeah, I
So
mean, that's
this is
huge.
yeah, I mean, let's just not alone talk about this thing that it is going to be accessible to everyone. They will be getting the support from the developers, the trainings, and everything is going to happen. How do you see this? Is this abundance coming true for California? Is this like a positive move, or it was a necessity?
I mean, the getting it for 50% is already a huge win, right? I think
Hmm.
more and more companies would give it to more of their employees if there was, and most of these plans are $20, and companies are having a hard time with just that price shock, right?
Correct. Yeah.
$20 times 100 people times 10,000 people, right? It turns into a big bill really fast, especially if they don't have AI adoption, right? Who's going to train these people, right? Like, obviously, some of our companies, we have drivers for change, right? We do nerdy sessions to make sure
Yeah.
people have the skill sets. I come from a blue collar family, right? A lot of welders
Hmm.
and carpenters. You never
Hmm.
handed a welder a welding machine without training them how to do that, right? They went through a whole
Yeah.
apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But we do that every day with computers, right? We throw a computer at someone, we throw AI at somebody, but we give them no apprenticeship. The
Hmm.
fact that Anthropic, you're going to have free training from Anthropic. Dude, that is so awesome. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing the use cases that come out of that, right? Like, hey, we gave it to
Yeah.
everybody and nobody's still using it, right? Or we gave it to everybody and the adoption was really good in maybe this age group, but not this age group, or this sector, but not this sector. But to have free training from Anthropic, that is wicked cool.
I mean, it would be also interesting how it works out. Like, there would be obviously a reluctancy from the people, especially the government who is working and the employees are working, not to use. But if Anthropic is going to bring that team and they're going to train them, maybe the mindset change happens that, okay, this is such a cool tool. And if they can see that they can do hours of their work in minutes, probably that could be a driving factor that, yeah, I'll save some time not doing something
Well, I
else.
mean, I know in my company, like, we are still ruled by Excel, right? Claude
Yeah.
extension in Excel is huge. I mean, I am good at Excel, but there are so many times where I'm like, hey, can you fix this formula? And it saves me
Mm.
so much time. Think about that return on investment of like, hey, here's the budget for this town. Can you go through this Excel sheet and make sure there is no formula errors, right? What if we
Hmm.
find out like, oh man, the bottom line is in the red or the bottom line is in the black, right? I mean,
Hmm.
just having, if every person that plays with Excel had access to Claude and Excel, that's already a huge improvement, let alone everything else, right? Like, we're still not talking about co-work. We're still not talking about Claude
Yeah,
Code.
yeah.
We're still not talking about everything going on with Fable 5, right? Like, it's just crazy.
And filling the forms and everything, just leave that part. It's just about maintaining that Excel. Even if it's able to execute for them and they start using it, it could be a game changer for that.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
I mean,
also,
computer use is super interesting. How many times do you get a form like you were talking about from any
yeah,
agency and it's a PDF and there's none of those blue boxes for the auto filling out, right? Like, and you're like,
yeah,
"Oh my Lord, I have to print this out. I wish I could just fill it out on my computer and sign it on my computer."
yeah.
I mean, I hope they really take this opportunity and grasp it and show efficiencies and show better things. So, I'm excited about
And
it.
and the thing, this is like, so the government employees are at the core of a society, right? They are the core of the society. Do you think them starting to use it, let's say 6 months down the line, could have a widespread impact that, okay, everyone has to start using it? Because the message gets even stronger that, okay, this thing is going to stay and you just have to become a part of
Yeah, there's a couple aspects. I think most governments are also not attracting talent. Not to say that they're
it. Yeah.
not talented, right? But like startups attract a lot of talent. Like you don't hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I got this great opportunity. I'm going to work for X or not," right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe, and then maybe that's the problem, right? Like maybe if we could attract talent to these local organizations, it just compounds. And like you were mentioning, like we've been talking about like what does abundance look like, right? I
Mm.
mean, I've said in the past, if Anthropic said, "Hey, you could have access to all these models, I'm only going to pay you $10 a year," it would be hard not to say yes to that, right?
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
if my local government did something similar? And you know me, I volunteer a lot. I do search and rescue on the weekends. That also would be a hard thing not to say yes to. So
Yeah.
it'd be really interesting. I mean, I live in Virginia, right? Like if Virginia all of a sudden did the same thing with Anthropic and
Yeah.
I could join my local organization, any number of things, like it'll be cool to see emergency management systems. Like, hey, we have a small not search and rescue, but rescue squad. That's like the ambulances and everything like that. But they might
Mhm.
be paying a lot of money for dispatching software. And you see how fast we make software. What if
Yeah.
local organizations started making their own software and they made it
Their own
open
software
source
stack.
and all of this stuff? I just really hope all of this stuff compounds, but I also hope that they use it, right? That would be the thing that makes me sad. If we find out that all of the California government workers had access to it, but only 2% use it, that's a sad day, right? Because you had access to some of the best systems and you didn't make the world better. Not to say you made it bad because you didn't do it, but I'm just saying, like, we know that we have to use these systems. It would be like 10 years ago if someone said, "You know what? I'm not going to use a computer," right? You'd be like, "Dude, get the heck out of here," right? You got to use a computer. In today's world, you got to use AI.
Yeah. And is there some way to know like how many people the California government is employing?
Oh,
Like,
I don't know that. I mean, but geez, I mean,
yeah.
California is practically a country.
So they have around 436,000 state workers.
I mean, that's a big company
So,
if you
so
look at it in that lens.
if this still is like what we are expecting it to be, 436,000 employees would have access to Claude. I mean, that is like bringing a whole society to the environment, which were probably till now are very reluctant to use AI. I mean, for I think, according to me, they would be the ones that would be least using the Claude or any of these LLMs for me as of now, or mostly using
I
for
mean, I
some
think my
basic.
first gut reaction is in line with you, right? Like, I would think of a government worker being less likely to use AI, but
Yeah.
I would also say that they're probably the most that need to use it in a way,
Yeah.
right? Like, especially because you know me, right? Like, let's move the
Mm.
society forward. So, dude, I'm looking forward to following this news and seeing
How it
where it
brings out.
goes. I mean, I
Yeah.
know in my company, like the change that we've seen just in the last 6 months is huge. But we have internal conversations where we're like, you know what? We're going to send an agent out to do that, right? Like, that
Mm.
is a common term in our meetings now. Or like, hey, can we have AI help us write an enhancement or an app? Like, so that's becoming common vocabulary. And dude, it gives me goosebumps if you could see and hear that same thing in some of our government agencies.
And this could be also bringing us to a much bigger questions. Like, do governments need to have an AI budget now? That okay, let's have this much of our spending on AI because
Yeah.
the California will be paying a lot of amount on traffic, definitely, even if it's at a
Yeah.
50% discount. So that's obviously going
Yeah.
to be
Well,
part of the budget.
I mean, every company has a budget for computers. Pretty much every
Yeah.
company has a budget for Excel and for Microsoft Office, right? Or something similar. Some people use Google. Most companies have a budget for cell phones for their employees. I think in the past we've always said, like, you've heard business people, right? Like, it's not or, it's and, right? Like it's one of those things. And I think what you've seen, especially when we've made our own products, is like, hey, I've taken a $40 subscription off of the table because now we have our own tool, and
Yeah.
I want to use that. I want to use half of that. Can you just give me half of that, what we did spend, and let's add something else? So I'm hoping we see those efficiencies, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not all software is dead, right? I'm not saying you kick Salesforce out and make your own thing and you're a big utility company. I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but you need to see where you can save stuff, right? How many families they sit down at the table and say, you know what, we need to tighten up our budget. We're not going to do this, but we are going to do that. We want to save for this. We don't want to save for that. So I think companies, besides governments, everyone, and even families, I've heard people talking about like, hey, our family doesn't do subscriptions, so we don't have Netflix. Our only subscription is like a cell phone thing. We don't have all that stuff. And they're having a hard time saying, hey, I want to give everyone in my family $20 subscription to Claude. And they're really having a hard time with that because they're like, we're a family that doesn't do subscriptions. It's like, well, are you also a family that's not encouraging learning, right? Like your kids could be learning from this. So there are families that are struggling with this cost question. There's companies and I imagine governments, right? I would be surprised if in another week we hear another state doing this. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a couple months before we hear another state doing this, which is unfortunate because they just see the dollar amount, but they don't see the return on investment.
Yeah, and this could be like setting up a precedence like, okay, more and more states are going to probably follow it up. And AI budget could be a real thing now in coming months.
Yep. Well, I mean, and we don't need to change the world. Like you've heard me drivers for change. I would love it if just every town had one whiz kid, right? That at least had $100 Claude subscription or $100 Codex subscription. Just that $100 in the right hands is hugely impactful. So, and then I think that driver for change will be the light for change also, right? Like, hey, I see the WizKid doing this. I would also like to have a Claude subscription. I don't need the fancy $100 or $200 plan, but can I have the $20 plan? Because I play a lot with PDFs, right? So I think if every agency just got one person, right? Find that person that is going to be the driver for change and give them $100 or $200 plan. Don't even debate about the $20 plan, right? At minimum, the $100. And then measure over, dude, you could measure it practically in a week how much return on investment you get from that $100 plan.
Yeah. And I think the psychological impact is also going to be very big for this really because, for more than 400,000 workers, okay, they go to their families, they talk about it, and then they see how it is happening. So it's going to be a big thing. It's not a small thing. We cannot just say that, okay, it's fair, it's what politicians do. But the psychological thing of this is also very big and how it is. And we have to watch like how it is going to play out in the coming months.
If you bring up an interesting point, right? Like the ripple effects.
Yeah.
I imagine most people's first computers way back when was the computer that they had at work, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have one, but they knew like, man, this is really cool. I could do stuff. Like a lot of people's first cell phone was a work cell phone or a work pager, right? So that's actually an interesting like look at it is like, maybe we seed our society. Now, most people's Netflix wasn't started at work, right? Hopefully it wasn't started at work, but you see that like that could be an interesting, like now that I know this tool exists, I want to bring it home.
And one of the interesting thing is another statement that the document included was Anthropic is providing a specialized version of Claude for government clients. And this is like a lot of maybe gray area. We don't know what they're going to actually do. Is this like they're going to build their own version for these employees? Would the access be more or it would be less? How do you think it's going to play out?
Well, I mean, you hear it, right? Anyone that talks about like, oh, we don't do AI adoption because we're worried about security, right? Our information is going to leak. Anthropic and OpenAI have heard that too many times that they're trying to solve those problems. We already know that Anthropic is spinning up isolated versions of their systems for the US government, be it the Department of War, be it the Department of Interior. Like we already know they're spinning up that. And I think that's a good solution. I think you're going to start seeing that like, hey, I'm a big company. Let's say I have 200,000 people and having it be approachable that I can spin up my own version. So that way I can give PII, right? Personal identification information to this system. And I know it won't leave the fence. And I think a lot of, I mean, I was talking with a friend yesterday and he was talking about his company having an AI policy that they just kicked off 2 weeks ago. And when he read it to me, it was so sad. It was like, no, don't ask. No, like it was like not even a bit of curiosity in the policy, which is unfortunate, right? Because the companies that make those policies, unfortunately, probably will not be around in another year, right? Okay. If you have no curiosity around this and you're not trying to solve the problems around this.
And what do you mean by curiosity in these policies?
I'm hearing a lot of people saying like, AI can't take my job. Like, we don't need AI. There's nothing AI can do, right? Like they're not saying, I don't believe AI can take my job, but I'm curious if it could, right? I don't think AI can do anything in my job, but I'm curious if it can, right? So
Mhm.
they're just saying no and they're moving on and not understanding that the question that you like literally Fable 5 got re-released yesterday, right?
Mhm.
So you could say, hey, AI can't do this. I tested it 24 hours ago.
Mhm.
And the confusing thing is, I'm literally going to look at you and say, well, it can do it now. Like,
No, yeah,
in what world do you believe that?
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. And so these and coming back to this, like these versions, are we going to be seeing more and more for especially for this government employees? Are we going to see more and more highly efficient or toned down models of what the general public is using? What are your predictions on that?
It's been interesting. So, I mean, obviously, I have a subscription that's higher than many people, and I do have friends that
Mhm.
are burning tokens pretty fast and they're on lower plans. And I have one friend that's using a lower model, and he's just been enjoying it, right? All of his workflows fit in the Sonnet Claude world, right? Pretty small kind of thing, super fast, and it's
Mhm.
working wonderful for him, right? I'm an oddity, right? Like we got 20 plus applications that all do different things, and I want to dispatch. I don't want to necessarily like babysit something. So I might say, hey, check my 20 apps and make me a top 10 to-do list of what we need to fix kind of thing, right? So I'm asking bigger questions, right? Just like if I had an employee that was going to manage 20 applications, they would have to be pretty powerful versus
Mhm.
like, hey, just read these PDFs and put them in an Excel sheet. So any AI adoption, be it a small local model, be it a sonnet or like they're doing with OpenAI where there's Luna and everything. Any AI adoption is not necessarily bad. Now, obviously, if you're asking a big question to a small model and it hallucinates or does something, then there's some badness around that.
Mhm.
But just starting to use it. Imagine, I mean, I have friends, I don't know if you have any like people that like to like work with their hands, right? They start with like
Mhm.
small tools, like, oh, I got a small table saw, right? And then they get really
Mhm.
interested and they learn the skill. And then all of a sudden they got a nice little workshop, right? They got a bigger table saw,
Yeah.
they got bigger tools. And I think that's the thing. As long as you start playing with the tools, even if they're small, and then growing into them is huge.
It's probably like you don't need Fable 5 or Opus 4.8 for an Excel work. You can
No,
do it
no.
can
How
be
do,
done
how do you
with
do an X lookup, right? Like
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
solved problem.
Yeah. So maybe any version can work as long as they are looking to upskill and learn in the process. And this is
I
where
mean,
it
I
gets
was I was it was just on that Excel thing. I was using Excel yesterday, and I combine formulas a lot. I say like do this plus this, then plus that. And it was this long thing, and it makes sense to me and I can understand it really well. And I asked one of the simple like a sonnet version of Claude, hey, like could I have written this Excel formula? And I've been writing this way probably for 20 years.
Mhm.
And it showed me how to like pair it up together with like parentheses and some other things, and I was like, dude, that is so much simpler. I've never done that for 20 years. So even I learn from simple models.
And despite being in the doing things, you're still learning, and it's
Yep.
still surprising you. But okay, this
Yep.
can be done. Yeah. And this is where it gets interesting because it says, and another statement, Cloud will help state workers with a wide range of tasks, including drafting and summarizing documents, analyzing information, supplementing day-to-day work, and improving services for Californians. This
Yeah,
is
the one that
like,
you touch on there that I think is interesting is summarizing of documents, at least for me.
yeah.
We have a whole bunch of clients and we have a whole bunch of master service agreements or scopes of work with different clients. I joke that I have a memory of a goldfish, so when I bounce from one client meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning and another client meeting at 2 p.m., I get confused about like, are we supposed to do 3 of these or 2 of these or 1 of these, right? So I
Mhm.
have little projects with all of the scope of work so that way I can ask a question against those documents. Hey, what is the requirements on this project? So I think that would be really interesting, right? When someone calls, we have a 311 in the country, which is like an information service. So you can
Yeah.
call a government agency and talk about like, hey, who am I supposed to call if I want to dig in my backyard, or what's the bus schedule in my area, or what's the trash pickup in my area? It's a lot of scattered information all over the place. And think about these government workers will now have access to something where you can say like, hey, what is the trash pickup in this town or this county? And it just finds it so fast. So
And this whole thing
it's
is taking
super.
me to two parts,
Yep.
actually. One is, okay, so they understand, they start using it, efficiency increases. And do you think at some point even the government is really going to realize, okay, these models are pretty smart. I don't think I need that many employees.
Yeah, well,
Is
I
that
mean,
going to happen?
I don't think a lot of people are knocking at their door or pushing their door down to work there either. So
Mm-hmm.
you know me, I work in a small company. I think we've always been understaffed, but now
Mm-hmm.
because of AI, we're properly staffed. And even
Okay.
if AI doubles and doubles and doubles, I still think we're properly staffed. And I think that's
Okay.
been the challenge with many small companies and some things like the government, right? They're probably
Mm.
properly staffed with more efficiencies, but I think they're inefficient right now because they're not properly staffed.
All right. So that is not going to happen. I mean, it's going to bring much more efficiency in the whole ecosystem.
And I think you're going to acquire talent because of accessibilities, right?
And do you think somewhere it motivates people that okay, I'm getting a $50, 50% discount on the Claude model, so I should be getting into that job? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
I
going to
mean,
happen?
think about the $200 plan. Like they're saying 50% discount. Like I wonder if they could subscribe to the 20x max. If they could subscribe to the 20x max, the $200 plan for $100
Mm,
and get free coaching from Anthropic, plus get access to their agentic team.
yeah.
Ooh, that is super interesting.
And probably they can use it to upskill themselves and move ahead in the career path.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, you've heard us talk about before, like move up the food chain, right? Like,
mhm,
so that's the biggest thing. And you've heard me before, right? Angry coder. Find
mm,
something that you're just mad about. I am
mm.
sure every government employee
Yes,
has a
definitely.
laundry list of things they are mad about. They probably go home every night at the dining room table and just vent like, oh, I wish it wasn't this way. That's the energy we need, especially when you have access to these tools.
And if Claude is going to solve those problems, it's going to definitely create a big ripple effect. And another thing, another angle comes into play. So I'm a guy who's paranoid about how my data is used, right? When there's these statements say that they are going to summarize documents, help them draft, analyze information, is the government going to share those data with Anthropic? How safe is my data now?
Yeah. So since it is in the government sphere, I there should be protection. So they've already made statements that any of these government agencies, Anthropic, will not train their AI model off of their stuff. So at least
Okay.
that's one good thing, right? Because they're all subscribing to the enterprise grade privacy system that they have. So it's a specialized system. They're not going to train off of it. Now, some people have voted to say, like, hey, some companies are doing good about that. Some companies are doing bad about that, right? We've all
Mm.
heard of the drama around OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
They say
Yeah.
one thing, but we feel like they're doing
Mm.
something else. So it's just one of those things of if you trust it, but their statements are saying that they will not be training off of any government. So not Department of War, Department of Interior, California government, all the government agencies are saying that they're not going to train off of it.
I think there are probably going to be some regulations as to how these employees can use Anthropic, and probably they would be allowed to use it at their office and not take it home.
Yeah, yeah, having that fenced in kind of thing. Now, and the
Yeah.
other thing is, it'll be interesting to see. Hey, we're saying everyone has access to Claude now, but here's California's AI policy, and you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. But that
Hmm.
pretty much means I only can do this small, like, so that'll be interesting.
And it's something that we cannot obviously predict outright. We have to just watch how things go.
I think the California stuff is really interesting. I do appreciate you bringing up this topic. This news article came nowhere in any of my feeds, and it came up in yours.
Okay.
So I appreciate you coming up there. And I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like 400,000 plus
1,000.
individuals are going
Yeah.
to get access to these models. That
Hmm.
is cool. I hope they use it. I hope it attracts talent, right? So, because people are leaving every state and going in different states, right? Like, I hope it attracts talent. And I cannot wait to hear how they're actually using it. So, let's make sure that we keep it on our tickler to like keep on looking at like how California is going with the adoption of this.
Yeah, because if the adoption goes right, this could be massive, real massive.
Yep.
And we'll be maybe seeing more and more state agencies follow this up in
Yep.
their own states. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like already, I mean, there's a fight between Texas and California nonstop, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Texas also still wants AI data centers, but now they're saying, hey, if you're going to have an AI data center, you need to bring the power with you, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if, like, hey, we're building power plants in Texas so that the AI is driving down electric cost, and also we're
Mhm.
giving everyone access to these AI models that live in Texas, right? Like it's going to be really interesting to see what the states do in the next couple of months.